TORAM Online's been through many changes throughout the years, and I'd like to say that it's come full circle in terms of balance. There's been many skill additions, there's been many balance changes, and there's just been many overhauls to the way that the game works in general. Today I'm going to be making a tier list video, ranking the best classes overall. And we're talking budget, damage, utility, everything you can imagine about a build. Let's get right into it. What is good, YouTube? It is your main man, the Source Kasuna here, and today we have another different type of video. So in today's video, I am going to be doing another tier list video. It's been a while. There's been a lot of updates for the skills in this game, and so I decided I'm gonna go ahead, right after we just got the new Halberd, bow, dual swords, and Knuckle skills. And there's some mage skills in there too. We just got a bunch of new skills, and I figured I would just go ahead and start on a new tier list. So starting things off, I'm going to go ahead with one hand sword sub scroll. Now this class, as far as I know, is really versatile now in a sense of how it can deal damage. However, it kind of lacks in the damage department. Regardless of that, it has a lot of options, but like a lot of the options, there's no options that stand out. Like you have the poison skills, you have the ninjutsu skills, you have so many options, but like none of them are competing with like top DPS in the game. Now, this class is very versatile just in a sense of utility as well. It has it has a few iframes. It has a lot of just general utility skills. Like really, you can make a tank with this build, like, believe it or not. I've seen it done before. You can make some really interesting builds with this. So I am going to go ahead and put this in B tier. I consider that a B tier class. For similar reasons, I am going to go ahead and put one hand sword Knuckles in B tier, but I'm going to put this above sub scroll. Now this is because you get Ashura Aura. Ashura Aura is really good, and you still get access to those one hand sword skills, but now you lose access to those poison skills, and you lose access to those assassin skills. You know what? Nah. I just corrected myself on that. I'm not even gonna elaborate. Dual swords. This class has been at the top for a very long time, and it's still there. You guys already know where it's going. It's going in A tier. Now, this is dropped from where it was last time I made the tier list, and the reason why is just because there's better classes now. I mean, you'll see that later in this tier list. Dual Sword still has everything it had before. It even just got new skills, but none of these skills are like anything that stand out in particular. Dual Swords is just it's really solid. Like, it's always gonna have really high damage. It's always gonna have really high survivability, and it's always just gonna have really good utility. You have flinch, tumble, and stun all 100%. So you can build a tank with this. I've done it before. You can also build a support with this because it's one hand swords. You can use minstrel skills. There's just so much. There's so much that dual swords can do. I don't even want to elaborate because like this class can fill every role, and that's something you'll notice with the classes that are at the top. Unless they're just exceedingly good. Katana, I'm also going to put above dual swords now. And it's not because of anything with the katana, it's because of bow. Like, bow just in general is broken now with the new skill spread shot. Like, bow lacks in like every department except for damage. Like, it has an iframe. It has a good iframe, right? But this iframe is 400 MP cost, and now the iframe is better because there's a better DPS tool than the iframe. But back when vertical air was the main DPS tool for bow, it wasn't really a good iframe because you're using it as your DPS skill, and it costed so much MP for an iframe. Like Soul Hunter, you can get that to become like a 200 MP iframe. Most of the time when you're using Soul Hunter on other classes, you're not even using all the MP cost of it. So it's like, yeah. But with that said, Katana, really good class. You have the Katana iframes. The unfortunate thing is that you still have to be close to the boss to use those iframes, so you'd still be better off literally just using vertical air, even though you don't have a sub arrow. It's just a lesser version of bow, which I'm putting in S tier. Broken class, very broken. This class is, I mean, I already said all of it. Like, you have spread shot with retrograde. Like, that damage, it's the highest sustainable damage in the game. If you have enough attack MP recovery to sustain this damage, it is the best sustainable damage you can get in the game at the moment. Bow also has, you know, 2 parry skills, well, a parry skill being retrograde. You also have piercing shot, which is just a really, really good skill for killing Ancient Empress. You can farm, you can level up pets with this skill, although I'm pretty sure it's still better to just use retrograde and spread shot. So don't quote me on that. But yeah, really, really good class. And yeah, it's an S tier. Another class that I'm going to put in S tier is Knuckle Magic Device. It's going after bow. Again, it can do everything. It can play every role. You can play this class physical, you can play it magic. A lot of people seem to think that the damage of Knuckles fell off because all these other classes are getting new skills, and you know, you're seeing showcases with all these other classes, and you're barely seeing any showcases with Knuckles. But Knuckles' damage is still at the top. Like, it's still doing really good damage. With Knuckle Magic Device, you have Reunion Sword still, which is still really, really respectable damage. You can still play this as a semi-tank. It's just really, really good. I don't see why people are thinking that Knuckles is not a good class all of a sudden. But I mean, it's a really, really good class. I don't think I need to even elaborate too much on why it's a good class. It's a really good class. Good damage, best survivability in the game. You have flinch, tumble, stun 100% now, and you have variety with that now with the new skills. It's too good. It's too good. And Knuckle Dagger, I'm gonna put, honestly, I want to put Knuckle Dagger above bow. Yeah, I think I like it above bow, and that is because Knuckle Dagger is a better version. It's the best version of Knuckles, in my opinion. You get Shadow Walk, and with the Regislet, Shadow Walk doesn't inflict proration. If you're using the Flash Blink Rush combo, and you're using Abstract Arms with Rush, you are capable of literally just spamming the second highest sustainable damage in the game. Well, no, I'm gonna say third highest sustainable damage in the game. It's the third highest sustainable damage in the game after another class that we'll be talking about later. And the reason why it's so high is because the Shadow Walk damage, it increases as your Shadow Walk stacks increase. And if you get the iframe, you just get the boosted Shadow Walk. I mean, it's really, really good. It's really broken. Again, you have the Knuckle survivability. You don't have to use Godspeed to wield. I mean, it's just so good. I don't see why people are saying that it's not a good class. And another thing that people fail to realize is Flash Blink does more damage the more you evade. So the synergy of this build is the best for Knuckles. If you're using Abstract Arms with Rush and you have Shadow Walk active, you're getting the Shadow Walk procs, as well as the damage from Rush, as well as the damage from Flash Blink as the opener. And now because Flash Blink does neutral prorate, it's really high sustainable damage, and it increases itself. It literally increases as the battle is longer. So I don't see what people are saying when they say that it's like, when they're saying Knuckles is not like good damage by. Knuckles is still at the top. I mean, it's the actual numbers are not going to impress you like dual swords or bow or even like halberd or like these other classes, but the DPS, the raw DPS is really, really high, and I need people to understand that is not something to joke around about at all. But anyways, you already see it. I think Knuckles is, you know, better than bow. There's gonna be people that crucify me for this in the comment. But our next class is Two-Handed Sword. Two-Handed Sword is an interesting class because I'm so tempted to just throw it in C tier because of my own bias, but that would just be wrong. I think at the top of I don't know. I think at the top of B tier is where two-handed sword is at. Because two-handed sword is really good damage-wise. It's really good survivability-wise. The problem with two-handed sword actually comes down to its utility. It lacks utility. It still lacks proper attack MP recovery or just MP recovery in general. And so its DPS is unsustainable in most fights. Like, you have to sacrifice so much to have a sustained DPS with two-hand sword, which is something you don't have an issue with any of these other classes that I've even ranked. So it's like, I guess it could be a problem for bow, but bow's damage is so high where even if you have to do a few auto attacks, it's still gonna out DPS two-hand sword. So yeah, I mean, two-hand sword, if we're just going based off of damage alone, it's up here. But yeah, it's in B tier because the damage is just not sustained. Our next class is going to be Bowgun. I think Bowgun goes in A tier. I'm going to put it behind dual swords. Bowgun Arrow. Bowgun Arrow, man, these hunter buffs are just so good. So, Bowgun Arrow now is basically just better tier 4 Halberd. You get Satellite Arrow, which is the only DPS skill you need. You can basically just fully invest into that skill, and because it's spammable now, like, this DPS is really high, really sustainable. You get your Twin Storm damage, which is like going to be really, really high. This is just, it's a really good class. It prorates. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You got the hunting buddy. This class is really good. It's really, really good. I don't even know how to put in words how good it is. But yeah, knocking this off with our first B tier class, Bowgun sub magic device. I mean, it's good. The damage is good. Like, the damage can be up here even, but the problem is just that, I mean, it's not doing anything outside of the box. I mean, either you invest fully into the physical side and you're basically just playing Bowgun Arrow with, you know, without the stability, or, you know, you invest into the magic side and you're basically just playing Knuckle magic device or one-hand sword magic device. It's just not, I mean, it's not doing anything unique. Oh, you could also try to hybrid, but you're losing so much by doing that. So it's just, there's really no point at all. You're literally just better off playing the other Bowgun variants or the other magic device variants. It's just not, it's not. Kicking off our, ooh, okay, I have so much bias here, but I mean, I don't know if it's bias, because I think this class is very boring in how it deals damage and how it does everything, but this class has gotten so many buffs. So many buffs. Bowgun sub-dagger, I think, is easily the second best class in the game. If we're not talking about just damage, if we're talking about everything it can do, right? It can't do as much as Knuckle, but the damage carries it to the point where it surpasses Knuckles in what it can do. This class has the best attack MP recovery in the game. It has really, really solid sustainable damage. It's up here with these classes that are at the top. The sustainable damage is this high, right? You get Vanquisher, you get Satellite Arrow, you get the Hunting Buddy now, as well as you also get Twin Storm. Like, this damage, this sustained DPS, it needs to be looked at. It needs to be looked at by a Sobimo, because if they keep buffing Bow and Bowgun, what's going to happen is Bowgun's going to be the best class in the game. It finally has a really good iframe, prone shot, which is like, it's a good iframe. It's just, it's not a good skill. It's not a good DPS skill. There we go. That's the term. It's a good iframe. It's just not a good DPS skill. You have the new prone shot, which is all Bowgun needed to go from here to here. That's literally all it needed, was a good iframe that you didn't have to be at a certain range to use. And it's a spammable iframe. So, I mean, yeah. The overall DPS of this class is so good. It ranks, I think it ranks up there with Halberd with physical Halberd and magic Halberd in terms of DPS, but I think Bow beats it right now in terms of like DPS, just not sustained DPS. Maybe I think maybe they could be about even in sustained DPS. I don't know. It's hard to say because Bowgun also has Dazzle now. Bowgun has access to Spread Shot, and Dazzle buffs Satellite Arrow and the Hunting Buddy. It buffs the entire physical Bowgun archetype. Honestly, yeah, I think I like Bowgun right there for sub-dagger. That's 2 sub-dagger classes in top tier, and there's going to be another one pretty soon. But yeah, I like that. For staff, sub, magic device. It hasn't fallen off. It hasn't fallen off. It hasn't fallen. I think staff magic device is better than bow. Just if we're talking overall, because bow, again, I don't think any class is outranking bow in DPS unless it's sustained DPS. But yeah, staff, again, this is another one where I see people saying that staff is falling off and this, that, the third. Why? It never fell off. People just stopped using it as, I mean, if you're caring about staff DPS, there's a way you have to build it. And people just stopped building it in a way where its DPS is going to be, you know, up here. People, you know, they started doing finale builds and magic cannon rush builds and this, that, the third. You don't need to do that. Invest in the cast speed. You don't even have to do too much. Just invest a little bit into your cast speed and it's up here. Easily it's up here. Because now your sustained DPS, it's up here. It's up here. It has better sustained DPS than probably, I don't know. I'm not gonna say all these classes, but I think it has like top tier sustained DPS. Like you can make the argument that it has the best sustained DPS in the game if you really want it. I don't believe that's the case, but you can make that argument. You can genuinely make that argument. Bow sub arrow, Knuckle sub arrow, because it's Knuckle. Right? It's better than that. Magic device. Okay, now magic device is an interesting take. Before I rank this, I'm just going to talk about magic device a little bit, because magic device has genuinely everything it needs to be the best class in the game, except for one thing. Right now, magic device is lacking in flinch, tumble, and stun. If magic device had proper flinch, tumble, stun, best class in the game. But it doesn't. It doesn't. So where am I going to put magic device, right? Here's another problem with magic device. The weapon attack for magic devices are very low. And so in order to compensate for this, a Sobimo has to either raise the multiplier of magic device skills or raise the weapon attack of the anniversary weapons for magic device. Because the only reason why we would ever even use an anniversary magic device over the full Dota shield or the 500 weapon attack NPC weapons is simply because we want to use DTE, I guess. But it's barely going to out DPS those weapons. It's just, I don't understand. The only reason we would ever use the anniversary weapons are to build a DPS magic device, because there's better options for a support magic device. There's better options for a semi-tank magic device, but there's like no options for a pure DPS magic device. So it's just, I don't know. Magic device is an interesting case. I think magic device is easily at the top of A tier. Well, I won't say easily. No, easily, because it has so much utility. Great iframe, really good support. It's really defensively bulky. It has some okay damage, and this damage is very sustainable. It has the most sustainable damage in the game, just not the highest, not even close to the highest. It's just, it has everything it needs. I don't get, it's lacking in damage. That's where it lacks. That's literally just where it lacks. Halberd sub arrow. Okay. All right. We're just gonna put both of these up here. Dagger is better than arrow, but I'm gonna talk about this, right? With the new skills, right? Sub arrow, you can build a physical halberd, and you can get 100% for both physical and magic pierce, and you're basically playing draconic charge with this build. This build is insane. Your draconic charge is going to be doing insane damage. However, you can basically do the same thing with sub-dagger. And with sub-dagger, now you have access to backstab, which, you know, for the physical side is going to be really, really good additional damage for the build. And for the magic side, you get the DTE daggers, which are just really, really good. And you also get the magic pierce daggers and the critical rate daggers, like all of these daggers that you need. Halberd's the best class in the game right now. It has good iframes. The iframe deals high damage. It has paralyze. It has dazzle. It has flinch and tumble. It's just, you can play Halberd as every type of build, in all honesty. I mean, it's possible, and it will be very, very viable. It's the best class in the game. Again, magic side, best sustained DPS in the game. You know, again, you can argue bow and mage, and you can argue any class from this top row as the best sustainable DPS in the game, right? And I don't think there's good arguments to say that any of these classes are not the best sustainable DPS in the game. Even the MP issues of spread shot, you know, the DPS is so high, it's so good that it's up here. And like all these classes are just good. They have utility. They have utility that they need. Yeah, Halberd's the best class in the game. I don't think I need to do that. I don't think I need to talk too much about it. I mean, you guys have seen it. It can solo guard golem without consumables. It has the fastest solo for guard golem, like the world record. Yeah, it's good. And you can still use draconic charge for the magic side of Halberd. It has good damage still. This class is broken. I mean, I won't say it's broken. It's really good because all of these classes can race for top attacker. Just letting that be known. All of these classes can race each other for top attacker. Dual swords can race in there too, and so can two-hand sword. It's just good. It's really good. Bowgun sub shield. I don't even see anyone using Bowgun tank. It's just, if you can make this build max motion somehow, it's the best prorator, but if you're gonna need a prorator, you're gonna want the prorator to have Brevour, right? You know what? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. I just thought about this. Okay, this is potentially A tier. Because now, I just forgot, piercing shot is an iframe. You can iframe with Bowgun now, really easily. Oh, that's so good. It has a good iframe. And it has the best proration in the game. If you can get this to max motion, best tank. Well, no, not best tank. Knuckles is still best, but pretty good tank. It's gonna compete. It's gonna genuinely compete. Yeah. Twin Storm. Staff sub arrow. It's good, but it's kind of fallen off after Kadal nerf. I'm gonna put it in B tier. I'm gonna put it behind two-hand sword. And staff sub shield, same reason, it's gonna go behind two-hand sword. In front of sub arrow. Sub dagger is gonna go behind sub shield. Sub scroll is still good enough to be an A tier because of kunai. You can build a crit list, I guess, like magic device, but then it just basically becomes magic device with extra steps without nearly as much of the utility that magic device has. But I mean, it's still good. You get the ninja skills, which are also really good. Yeah. Similar reasoning here. You get Ashura Aura, really good iframe, but never mind, because I mean, you get shift. You get shift on staff and magic device. Yeah, no. The staff variants are just kind of cooked. F tier. No one's using that. If you're using this build, if you can make sub-dagger katana good, I will change my mind. I'll change my mind. If you can make a good build for sub-dagger katana, I'll genuinely change my mind. It's better than sub-dagger, sub-arrow, one-hand sword now, at least, but no. Katana, right? Now, the issue with katana isn't what it has, it's what it keeps getting. It keeps getting new skills, it keeps getting utility. It doesn't need any of that. It's good enough. The argument can be made of katana being the best class in the game, right? But I'm gonna put it at the bottom of S tier because the damage, I mean, it lacks in fast kill. That's the only thing that it lacks in. In a long run, you can argue it as, again, the highest sustainable damage in the game. Like the highest sustained DPS in the game. I'd put it behind Halberd, like ever so slightly. I'd put it behind Bow, obviously, because Bow is ahead of Halberd. You know, again, the argument can be made for any of these top classes being the best sustained DPS in the game. And it's like, that's just a sign of how balanced the game actually is right now. Because if you really look at it, every weapon type is up here, except for 3. You have one of each, at least one of each weapon type up here, except for 3. Let that sink in. This game is really, really balanced right now. Yeah, katana, it has really like a ton of iframes, a ton of parries. You have dauntless, you have the dauntless regislette. You have kunai, you have the ninja skills, you have just, if you're in a party with Bow, you basically can't graze with this build. And you know, without graze, now you open up the window to being able to use the poison skills effectively in this build. It's really, really good. Yeah. It's really good. Katana, again, if it had better fast kill potential, best class in the game. Matter of fact, yeah, it's number 2. It's number 2. Knuckles, sub shield. Top of A tier, right in front of, right in front of magic device. And this is just because, again, all of the utility of Knuckles is there. And you have the utility of sub shield. Honestly, I'm suffice to say, you don't even really need a sub shield to tank adequately with Knuckles anymore. You're probably better off running a sub magic device now so that you can cast prayer in certain parties. But I don't know. I'm gonna build this prayer tank pretty soon, actually. But yeah, it's not as good as sub magic device now, even at tanking. I think that sub magic device is like the better tank. You lose some resistance, but not a lot. Not a lot at all. Bowgun, sub Knuckles. Yeah. Top of C tier. I'm not gonna even explain. Knuckles sub shield. I mean, one-hand sword sub. Revenant is something I don't see getting used at all anymore, which is interesting because Revenant puts this at the top of A tier already. You have the utility of shield, you have the utility of the knight skills. The shield skills are the strongest on one-hand sword. They can be used as actual damage skills. This build is like, it hasn't fallen off at all. In fact, like, if you are able to maintain flinch, tumble, stun, the sustained DPS beats all of these classes up here. You can do a 20 million revenue right now. Like, I don't think people are actually understanding how big that damage is. 20 million damage revenue. That is 7 million damage revenue. You could do that with this class. Shield cannon, you could do 5 million damage with it. Shutout, you could do 10 million plus, maybe even 20 million with it. It's good. I don't see why people aren't using it anymore. It's like, Revenant is not going to fall off because it has the highest stat scaling in the game outside of, you know, Thor's hammer. I think their stat scalings are very close, actually. It's good. It's really good. Barehand. It's actually crazy to say this, but Barehand belongs in B tier now. It's the best motion tank in the game. It's the best motion tank in the game. It just lacks an iframe to do it. It only lacks an iframe to do it. That's all it lacks. It has the best auto attack in the game. Other than Twin Storm, of course. It literally has the best auto attack in the game. It's at the bottom of B tier. It's ahead of all of these classes. This is how balanced the game is, guys. This is just how balanced TORAM Online actually is right now. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That's it for this video. If you agree with my tier list, you know, leave a comment. If you disagree, let me know where you disagree and why. I think that the game is the most balanced it's ever been. I say this every single time I make a tier list, but like now it's just, this is the most balanced the game's ever been. The issue with the game right now is not the balance. The issue with the game is the power of the enemies. The enemies don't have enough HP. The enemies that do have enough HP are all event bosses, where it's like, most players are not gonna want to play those, and those aren't really like farmable. Once you get what you want from those event bosses, it's like you're not going back to them unless you're just doing a solo run. Again, that can be its own video, but you know, the balance of the game, it's this good. If we get higher HP bosses, Katana is right here, but yeah, this is considering all of the content in the game. This is where I put these classes. Let me know what you guys think. Peace out.